Well, good morning. My name is Kristen, and I'm here to talk with you about service dogs. I'm the Executive Director of Canines for Disabled Kids, and all the photos you're going to see are dogs with kids that we have worked with that are in school or were in school at the time. So, the first thing we want to do is establish what is a service dog. Okay? A service dog is defined by the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's a federal law, which means that it's the same everywhere in the United States that you go. And it is a dog or a miniature horse that is individually trained to do work or perform tasks for a person with a disability. This means that the animal has had to go to school, has had to learn how to do a specific set of tasks, as well as having to learn how to behave in a people environment without interfering or interrupting what's going on in that human environment. These are tasks that they were taught that are directly related to the disability and are not for emotional support or companionship. These are not therapy animals. These are not ESAs or emotional support animals. These are not comfort animals or pets. Okay? This is a really small sample of what some of the tasks look like. Okay? Tasks are things that are directly impacting the independence that the individual is going to get from their service dog. These are things that allow the person to overcome aspects of that are limiting because of their disability, and they are things that allow the animal to act as an extension of the person, of part of the body that doesn't work right. There are lots of different tools that people use to help them with their disabilities, and I'm going to ask you if you can tell me what the number one tool used by people worldwide is to help with people who have disabilities. No, I wish it was a service dog. Then I wouldn't have to educate you because you'd know all about it. Come on, one more guess. Yeah. What is the number one tool used worldwide by people who have disabilities? Wheelchair, was that? Wheelchair is a good guess, but it's not the right answer. Yes, contacts and eyeglasses. Very good. Contact lenses and eyeglasses are the number one tool used worldwide. The great news is that you don't think about them as tools. You don't think about them as being protected by the ADA, but they are. And when we can get all the other tools, including service dogs, to be as accepted as that, I will not have a job, and that will be a good thing. Okay? Having a disability means that part of your body doesn't work the way it's supposed to work, and you need some help to compensate for that. Okay? That's all that means, and that's why we see glasses and contact lenses as the number one tool worldwide. Service dogs and all the tools that we use can go everywhere the person goes. That includes restaurants and beaches and doctor's appointments and school and businesses and places of employment. If you ever wonder about whether a service dog can go into the space, stop and put the word eyeglasses into your question. So if you're saying, gee, I wonder if a service dog can go into this movie theater, say, would I be allowed to wear my eyeglasses into this movie theater? The answer is yes. Then all the other tools, including service dogs, go there. Now, all our tools have access when they are under our control, meaning that they are leashed, harnessed, or otherwise connected to us and following our instructions. They're not being aggressive, they're not being protective, they're not being overly friendly with other people, they're not soliciting attention. That seems like, okay, we need to establish that with animals, but it's true of all of the tools that we use. If you were using a white cane or a wheelchair and you decided that you wanted to be first in line to see I don't know what the hot movies are right now. I'm sorry, I'm not a movie person. So, but if you wanted to be first in line to see whatever the movie of the week is, and you use those tools to encourage people to move out of your way because you bumped into them, you whacked them, whatever, that's not allowed. You can lose your right to use that tool in that space, or you can be asked to leave the space. And that's the same with service animals. If the animal is not under control, if the animal is inappropriately behaving, then the individual can be asked to step out, get the animal under control, and then be allowed back in once the animal is under control. Okay? And even school. I know. I like to reinforce that because of the environment that we're in. But again, these are all dogs in classrooms. This team here started in 8th grade and went through college together. This team in the upper corner is a guide situation. This started senior year in high school. This is a diabetic team, started again senior year in high school. Both dogs, all of these dogs went on through the college experiences. I like to say the dogs are kind of working on their master's programs. They're going to get additional, they're going to study what the student is studying even though they've already passed all of their exams. It's important to note with service dogs that this is a 100 or a 0 in the service dog world. All of their tests are 100s or 0s. There's nothing in between. There's no Bs. I'm glad I wasn't a service dog candidate because I probably wouldn't have made it. I definitely had Bs in my school career, but it's a 100 or nothing. And that's really important, especially when we're talking about aggressive or protective behaviors. If you have any reason or know anyone who is nervous around dogs or is fearful around dogs, want you to be able to reassure them that these animals have been properly prepared for this, and if they showed any signs of aggression, they would not have been allowed to become service dogs. Okay. These are, sorry, skipped right over. I rolled right into the next slide there, sorry. So again, no aggression, no protection. Just really important to reiterate that. It is a zero tolerance policy. Respect is really important. These animals are tools. They are not pets. They are not companions. They're not here for social engagement. They are here to do the job that helps their individual to be as independent as possible. So my service dog is trained to help me with balance, counterbalance, fall recovery, and fetch retrieval. This basically means I have 6 legs. Now, I want you to be honest. You can even be quietly honest so I can see you, but your neighbors can't. How many people before this presentation really would like to meet or touch the service dog? Just go like this. It's okay, right? Yeah, see, I appreciate honesty, right? Okay. Now, how many people before this presentation said, those look awesome. I can't wait to go up and touch those legs. I wonder what that fabric is that she's wearing. Yeah, I know you're all looking at me like I'm crazy, right? I'm glad that you're looking at me like I'm crazy. But these and those are the same thing. And I need you to really grasp that so that you will not want to reach out and touch, or that even if your brain says, I really want to do it, your body will react appropriately and not reach out and attempt to interact with the animal, that you won't speak to the animal as it's walking through the hallway, that you will remember always to speak to the handler, to speak to the user, and to be able to make sure that you're respecting the animal as the tool that it is. If you do see these animals working in non-school environments, you're going to see them in the mall, you're going to see them in the airplanes, you're going to see them at really any place you might go, you might see them. It is okay outside of school to ask someone about their service animal, to ask if you can meet their service animal. Know, however, that quite often the answer is going to be no. The animal is working and the people are trying to keep the animal focused on their job. But outside of school, it's okay to ask. It's okay to ask about what the dog does. How does the dog help you? Your dog is really great. In the school environment, there's none of that's going to happen, okay? Because we all need to be focused on what we're here for, which is education. Okay? I would like to give you the opportunity to ask questions or to have comments about what service dogs in general, or about the new experience of having a service dog in your classroom. I know, after 8th grade we forget how to ask questions. Yeah.
What type of dog is your dog, breed-wise?
My dog is a smooth collie. The majority of service dogs that you will see are Labrador Retrievers and Golden Retrievers.
This isn't really a question, but my grandpa used to train service dogs at Pilot Dogs in Columbus.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great. You guys are in a really nice area. There's a lot of service dog training programs around you, so you may have had some experience or may have seen articles or things, and obviously more personal experience here. That's really helpful. That's really helpful.
Since service dogs are considered tools and not pets, do you give them names?
Yes, they do have names. It's up to the owner if they want to share that information or not. His name is Asha, A-S-H-A. It means divine loyalty. Some people are comfortable sharing the names of their animals with people, their peers, or whether they're in work environments or school environments. Other people prefer not to because they want to reduce the chance that you might accidentally say their name and draw the animal's attention to you. So that's a personal decision, but they do all get names. They do all get names.
Do you keep their mouth covered all the time?
So Ash is wearing something called a head collar. The head collar works like a bridle on a horse. It does not prevent the animal from using his mouth in any way. So he eats, he yawns, he fetches things with his mouth and picks them up for me. We use that, though, for direction and communication between myself and him. Different animals, different training programs train with different types of equipment. You might see a martingale collar being used, which is a flat collar that pulls up on the back. You might see different types of harnesses being used. It's really what's best for the dog and the user to be able to do communication. Okay. Yes.
I have two questions. The first one is, how long do service dogs work for? Like, do they retire after so many years?
So yes, service dogs will go through approximately 2 years of training. So they're ideally going to start at 8 weeks of age. They're going to start work about the age of 2 or a little bit after, ideally. They are going to work for approximately 10 to 12 years, depending on the breed and depending on the work that they're doing. And then they'll end up in retirement. Retirement looks different depending on the dog and the original user. In my case, my dogs and I have a till death do us part pact, so he will move into retirement and will stay with me throughout the rest of his life. Because I can care for an aging dog, I have the right space to be able to do that, and I can bring in a new working dog and be able to care for both. If people are not able to care for their aging service dog, either because of their limitations with their disability or because the program that they're working with doesn't allow them to have 2 dogs at one time, so they are going to get a new working dog, but then they need to rehome the original working dog now that he's in retirement. Retirement homes are either other family members or friends that are authorized to take the dog, or they're volunteers that work for the training program that allow for the animal to have a full retirement.
So. My second question is just out of curiosity. So the dog's doing a job. Like, I get to go home and spend time with my family, my son. Do the dogs get to just be dogs?
No. These are never just dogs, okay? That being said, every single day, so you wouldn't want to be a service dog candidate because whether you were in school or whether you're working, your job is 365 days a year. And every day you work, every day you have homework, and every day you have recess. But even in recess, they're working. Okay, in recess, whether they're using their noses to smell for something like diabetic highs or lows, or to listen for hearing sounds, or in my case, to be available for me in case I do fall or need to move. They're always ready to do their work. They spend a lot of time in what I call on-call time, meaning that they're not fully dressed, they're not out in public, but they're at home, they're more relaxed. He actually has another dog that he plays with when we're at home. He gets to have some dog-to-dog time. His playtime in the hotel looks different because now that we're not at home, there's no noise. Okay, so from the time we left our house on Sunday until we fly home on Thursday, until we get home on Thursday, he will not vocalize unless he's going to be sick. He will not have any vocalization. When we get home, his playtime, he will be very vocal in his playtime at home. He likes to talk. He likes to chat. But his training says we only do that at home. So they do have that. They do have time to be relaxed, to chill out. But it's not in line with how we think about our time off as people.
I have two questions. So what's he going to do if he falls?
Say that again?
What's he going to do if he falls?
So if I fall, first he's going to actually try to prevent the fall. As I walk, I hold on to the harness, and he's going to use his body to lean or push or pull to try to keep me upright. If I do fall, he's going to come into position in a cross position across the front of me, and then he's going to brace out, and he's going to allow me to use his shoulders and the harness to be able to push back up into a standing position. I'm sure that that's on YouTube somewhere. When it was easier for me to demonstrate that. I don't demonstrate it anymore because I'm afraid that the new ones will show up on YouTube, and no, I don't want to see that. So, and you had a second one. So Asha wears a harness. Stand. This harness is specific to the work that he does, and it is made of stainless steel and leather. And as I walk, he's going to counterbalance and balance me. I cannot control my left leg below the hip. So as I walk, everything circles out from the left. And in order to step over anything, in order to step forward, I have to be able to lean and swing, and he's making sure that that happens safely. So this is the most elaborate equipment that a service dog will wear. They're not required by law to wear equipment, but most of them do wear equipment either to identify them. A cape is the simplest way to do that. Others are wearing backpacks, and then guide animals are wearing a different kind of harness. A guide harness will be on an angle, so the animal's slightly in front all the time, where a weight-bearing harness will be more up and down. I know, yes. I know it's a great question, because if they're not happy, they won't do the job. Okay, and it's really important. That is something that we look at when dogs are in training, to make sure that they're happy, to make sure that they're enjoying their work. You're looking at an industry that has a minimum of a 50% failure rate, and depending on breed and depending on where those dogs came from and when they started training, the failure rates can go as high as 90%. And sometimes it's simply because a dog doesn't want to do this job, okay? When they are working, they often look very serious. You know, people say to me, oh, he looks sad. He's not sad, he's very serious. But I know that he enjoys his work, and I know that he is happy doing his work because he's very responsive to that. When dogs get ready to retire, they start to give you signals. Sometimes those signals are, I don't really want to do this today. And that's an indicator that they're moving towards retirement, and that they're ready for that. So, but if they don't love their jobs, we won't ask them to do them.
I have two questions as well. One's for just like you specifically.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to use a service dog instead of just using a cane?
Well, a cane for me is not very functional because of the way I move. A cane only helps you if you're leaning forward onto the cane. So in my case, do you remember Weebles? I know I'm dating myself. A Weeble was a toy that the base of it's round and it kind of rolls around on itself, but it never falls over. I have a similar movement in that sometimes I'm going forward, sometimes I'm going backwards or side to side. A cane only helps you if you're leaning down onto it. In addition to that, a cane doesn't help you recover. So to be able to stand up, to get back to a standing position was not helpful. So this is my third. My first to my second, I went from one dog to the second dog. My second dog had to be put down at the age of 5 for a brain tumor. I went from so I had time from between my second and my third dog where my third dog was not able to do the job yet. So I used a walker. At that point, the walker offered me more stability and gave me something to be able to use to get up if I fell. But if I fell backwards, the walker still couldn't help me. And neither a walker nor a cane helps me pick things up. So if I drop things, he's able to really be a multi-tool. All right, for a tool that costs between $25,000 and $35,000 to produce, we want them to be able to do as much as possible for as long as possible. And in my case, that meant that he could do all of the things I needed: balance, counterbalance, fall recovery, and fetch retrieval. The fetch retrieval actually prevents a lot of my fall risk to begin with. So that combination led me to this.
And how do you pick the dogs and where do you get them from? Like to be service dogs, to train them?
So some training programs, there's over 200 training programs in the United States. They don't all train the same type of service. Some of those programs breed their own dogs, so they're selecting very specifically the parents based on health and temperament. And then they're starting with those puppies as young as a few days with sensitizing them to different environmental things and such. Other dogs are brought in from breeders who are breeding for conformation and for show purposes. And then there are dogs that are brought in from rescue. No one source has enough dogs to make this happen, so all those sources need to be used. Okay. Yes?
This probably won't sound stupid, but do you love him?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no, yes, absolutely. Your dog and you are very emotionally connected. You will spend more time with your service dog than you will spend with anybody other than a conjoined twin. Okay? And you really need to be emotionally bonded and connected to have the best work from your dog. He sleeps with me. It's just him and I, so we get in, we're in the hotel. He's like, I like this bed. I'm like, great, we'll use that one. He's very, very emotionally part of my life, but the emotional aspect is a bonus, okay? We don't usually fall in love with our wheelchairs or with our eyeglasses, but we do fall in love with our tools when they're living tools, but that's a bonus aspect of having a living tool. It's not what makes the animal the tool. Okay? Great. Well, I do want you to know that if other questions come up at any point, whether they're specific to something happening in the school or whether they're about service dogs in general, your teachers know they have my contact information, and they can certainly give that to you. You can reach us by email or by phone, whatever is most convenient for you. And I thank you for your time today.